Doesn't cover care, custody, and control. Your responsibility for animals that are on your property that are not yours. And it will not cover your use of your livestock if you take it off your premise, charge a fee for a ride, use it in different competitions. Commercial general liability is how we address most of the concerns that you're going to deal with running an equine facility. Has the fewest exclusions out of all the coverages. And we could build in the personal and the farm liability with that. And as I said before, it's considered commercial equine liability. You'll see it listed as that. So these are the types of operations that we consider and we cover with the different liability packages. Probably all things that you guys are doing now. Boarding is the obvious one. Probably most people are boarding. Breeding, I saw a few hands up for breeding. Lessons, training, day camps, clinics, events, sales and leasing. They're all things that are easily dealt with the commercial equine liability and commercial general liability. And this is what we use when we're doing underwriting. So when we're doing the underwriting, we're coming in, we're going to look at your operations, we're going to see what are your activities. And when we say experience counts, that just means like they're going to look at someone who's been involved in a business for 20 years, different than someone who's only been involved for 3 years or has no experience. I'm going to come out and I take photos of all your stuff. I take photos of your buildings, I take photos of your fence. I'm going to look around in maintenance because the maintenance, if you think about it, I go to some places and I can't believe they turn the horses out in some of the fields with all the junk that's out there. Because it's a liability exposure. The other things I'll look for when I come out are barn rules. They're going to want to see your waivers, your contracts, lease agreements, certificates of insurance for people that come on your property that are doing things. Yes?
As a startup business, as we're looking at starting up our own, now I've been in a lesson business for 14 years, and so when we're starting our house, we have a clean slate. There's no buildings, there's one building on the property, no fencing, so if I talk to you, you tell me what is the best fencing to have for insurance purposes. Is there specific things that I should be gearing towards as I'm building from scratch?
Most of the time, a lot of the companies on your perimeter fence, they're going to want something solid. They're going to want 3 or 4 board fence on the outside. Fencing on the inside could be less. I have other companies where that's not going to be an issue. They would accept electric fence on your outside for your perimeter fence. Every company's different, depending on what you do and what I'm looking at for your activities is going to tell me what companies are going to shop your insurance to.
Okay, so I can kind of still have a lead, like say I want to do electric, which is pretty much what most people are doing now.
Yeah.
You have coverages that basically will cover you for that.
Yeah.
With no big deal.
No big deal. And I have other companies, they'll see that and they'll say, not interested.
So basically, I can kind of set up my facility the way I want it, and you'll come out and say, I've got a company that will treat us better for what you.
Sure.
Okay.
They're all different. They have different appetites. Some of them, you'll look at the applications and you'll be like, you gotta be kidding me. You'll have an application where you're looking at, say, your farm property. And then they would start looking at they wonder how many brushes you have, how many bridles you have, how many of this you have, how many halters. It's like, that drives me crazy. It's like, just give me a number, let's just sit down and say, I have $3,000 worth of buckets, blah, blah, blah. Put that in there. And as long as that's a good number, and you can sit there, you can figure it out. But when you have to sit there and list everyone, but that's some companies, and those are the ones that are usually more liability adverse. They're going to be the ones that, we don't want to cover it. We don't want to cover this. We don't, And I usually don't place a lot of business with them because they make it hard for me to give them business. And then they'll come around and say, well, how come you don't call us up, or how come we haven't put in more business in this? I sent you things, you just shoot them down, so.
Is there some definite no-nos to do as far as fencing and as far as buildings? You know, I mean, besides the obvious, you know, one piece of baling wire around is not gonna hold up.
One strand of electric, not good.
Yeah. What do they consider the minimum that's 3 versus 2? Is there a big difference?
2 or 3 is good.
Okay, pretty good.
One is bad.
Okay.
One bad, barbed wire bad. They don't like barbed wire. What's that?
Nothing. 3 strands of barbed wire might be better than 1. If you're
Could be
gonna go
better than
barbed
one.
wire, you know.
Yeah, they don't like barbed
3
wire.
more ways for a 10-year-old to get done.
And so certificates of insurance could also work, say you have a facility and you're gonna have a clinician come in. You're gonna want him to have his own insurance that matches your limits. You wanna be added as an additional insured to his policy. And you're gonna have a certificate for him saying just that. I have, yes, Jennifer?
So if you at your barn have an instructor come in a couple times a month to do a little clinic for your barn lesson, which happens regularly, that person should have
Their own insurance.
list you as additional insured for every time they come? No,
Well, once you get listed, once you'll be on for a year.
okay.
You'll be on for their policy period. But they should have their own insurance and it should match your liability limits. At a minimum of 1 million, 2 million. And it'll stipulate on your policy when you have someone else come in using your facility, they want the liability limits to match. Yes?
On that issue, we have found that it is very, very difficult to find people who carry their own certificates of insurance. So we have been putting them on our
You
insurance.
can do that.
And we can charge them back for that, right? I mean, we don't have, that doesn't have to be a gift to them.
Well, it'd be,
I mean, I don't know it's a gift to me because I'm covering my butt, but
well, I guess if you could figure out exactly how much the charge was for them to be added to your policy.
Yeah, we do.
yeah, we do. It's enumerated. by
One of the
name.
things that we worry about, Kevin, is let's say that you come as a trainer,
Right.
and you provide me with a certificate, and it's July, and it expires in November, and then you come back in December, I haven't even knowing that. I mean, unless you have to show me a certificate every time you come, you know, and if I'm not there, then what happens?
Well, if you know it's gonna expire in November, then you want to see the new one in November.
But how do you know that? I mean, and maybe they cancel it before it expires, maybe they say, I'm not paying this insurance.
Well, that is a possibility.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we advise people on our policy and charge them for it. If they want to train at our facility, it's going to cost them $75 for the year, whatever the thing is.
That's an option.
Can't charge them.
But that insurance will only cover them while they're at your
Well,
premise.
Yes, we don't want them to, and we write that down too.
Right. Well, you have to make sure those people understand it when you leave. Yes?
Similar to that, but if you have a regular trainer, like we have a relative, we don't train. The horses are our house, he owns some of the horses, we own some of the horses, and he gives lessons sporadically throughout the year on a constant.
At your premise?
Would we be able to put him as an additional insured on a policy we got it, or should he have his own separate professional liability policy?
He should have his own
He should
separate
have his own.
policy, but if he doesn't,
If he
you would,
doesn't.
you would want to list him on yours, because if he has no insurance and something happens while he's giving a lesson or training at your house, guess who's getting sued? Yes?
I have a quick comment on that outside trainers. I mean, I have an outside trainer who comes and she has her own insurance, and I'm on that policy.
You're an additional insured on our policy.
If anything happens on that policy, if it lapses or whatever, I get notified immediately that the thing is gonna lapse in 10 days or whatever it is. As soon as you get put on that policy.
Oh, I see, your additional insured status gives you that
Right,
notification.
they notify immediately.
So I learned something tonight. See, then you don't have to worry about that. If you were doing it the other way,
Yeah.
you would be notified. it makes sense because you're the one that would be at risk then.
I got a question,
And
you
then
know,
we
you
can
said,
contractor come to you as an insurance agent to get such a policy.
Absolutely.
Not a
I have
problem.
one.
Easily done. Yes, sir.
well, I'm interested in is additionally insured, because,
It's real
I mean, if
popular.
they're not, yeah, but if they're not doing a lot of work, the cost is just prohibitive, I mean, it just wouldn't make sense. The person wouldn't make any money, you know, if they're only doing $50 a week at your place, whatever it is, and you wanna put them in additionally insured, I mean, if it was $75, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I think
Quotes I
it's,
get are, you know,
I think it's
$1,500,
$110
you just couldn't make it in 100 years.
it's $110 for the year.
It is?
Something
Yeah.
really minimal.
It's very minimal.
$110, I'd pay in a heartbeat.
I don't think it's 110, I think it's like.
And what is he, additionally insured
Yeah.
He's just listed, actually, he's probably listed as a named insured.
Right, it's an
policy.
insured, yeah.
on the
You
policy?
you add an additional insured. What they're doing is they're adding him as a named insured. He's now a named insured on their policy.
And which part of the policy? Because I got all that, and a lot of, you know, the care custody control,
As an
fire
instructor,
liability.
as an instructor,
Really?
as an instructor, yeah.
Yes,
On that same additional insured, so I brought up my example where my neighbors have their horse business, people come up and I was advised to have them put me on their,
insurance as an additional insured.
so I would be what, just as an adjoining landowner on their policy? I mean, I have nothing to do with their business, I'm just next door.
So you have an insurable interest.
You have insurable interest, and what would happen is their insurance would respond if someone sued you because of their activities.
Okay, so that my insurance wouldn't even kick in, their insurance would be completely liable.
Well, that's
If I
not,
was on
that,
their policy.
it would depend. The insurance companies don't determine negligence and liability, that's a court thing. If someone wanted to go beyond,
They can still clear it to me, and then my insurance.
but if you're listed as an additional insured, you have a hold harmless agreement from that barn saying that they're not gonna hold you liable for any of their activities on your property.
Right.
It'll be very hard for them to
Sue.
serve you and sue you.
Okay,
Doesn't mean they won't try,
right.
but your insurance, if they did try, would just, they would be the ones that would respond, provide you with legal defense, and it would probably just wouldn't go very far.
Thank you.
And they're, check your loss